Okay, I know I'm watching the clock. I'm going fast here, and I'm hoping to save some time for some questions as well. So, exemplar, enabler. What about leader? That's really the top rung of the ladder here. We think the macro context for our industry, for the IT industry right now, the economic context that is, makes this a really ripe opportunity and the right time to go after this. If I can back up and show you a picture of IT spending as the growth in IT spending as a percentage of the growth in overall GDP from more or less the beginning of time, that is in the mid-1950s, what we have traced over that period is three distinct waves or cycles of growth and innovation for the IT industry. Periods when the growth of IT investment is significantly faster than the growth of the overall economy, like 2 or 3x the growth of the overall GDP. Those are typically followed by a 6 or 8 or 10-year period of what we call digestion, basically when the investment slows down and companies are working to absorb the new set of technologies that they have invested in. You can see, for example, the Mount Everest-sized peak there right around 2000, 2001, right? And we remember the ugly period of, I guess, indigestion that followed that overspend, one might argue, looking at this data during the late 1990s. Well, we think we're about at the point where that cycle kicks off again. And we think we have another 6 or 8 years of above normal growth for IT investment and for the IT industry. That is, again, 2 or 3x the overall economic growth that we'll see. That's driven by a phenomenon that we call smart computing. And I have a whole hour to do on smart computing that I'll compress into about a minute. Awareness of business operations, analytics of those business operations, analysis of alternatives to improve operations, analysis and recommendation about action, and then auditability of all of those other steps, what the analyst on my team calls the 5 A's of smart computing. There's a whole new set of business problems, business challenges that IT systems are going to start addressing via this smart computing phenomenon. And it's really around utilizing companies' assets more efficiently, optimizing the use of assets like data centers, like facilities, like vehicles that have been poorly managed or sort of managed in a stovepiped and proprietary way. We think smart computing systems monitoring, sensing the operations of physical assets and using that information to analyze and improve their efficiency. This is going to lead to an extended period of above average or above normal growth for the IT industry. And we see that already in the numbers that we've seen so far in 2010. That light blue number represents growth in business investment in IT versus growth in the nominal GDP, which is the dark blue line. And you can see the gap starting to appear there. You can also see the two very clear recessions that we've had in technology spending over the last decade reflected in these numbers as well. So, with that sort of positive context for the IT industry, I tend to be less sympathetic to many CIOs I talk to who take me back to this picture and say, you know, exemplar, yes, but enabler for the rest of the company? Have you seen my data center? I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot on my plate here. I'm trying to get from here to there. I can't step up to challenges across the rest of the organization. I am, well, I am somewhat sympathetic, I guess. It's hard making that miracle happen there. There's an awful lot to do. There's a lot of innovation required. You'll hear stories today about companies who are tackling these kinds of challenges in transforming their data centers. There's also a lot of behavior change, operational change, organizational change involved here. This is not strictly a technology story. It's not simply a matter of going out and buying, shiny new gear for the data center. There are significant process changes and even behavioral changes within your organization and across the company that are required to put IT and other business processes on that lower energy diet. So it's hard. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of innovation and a lot of process change required. But no, it's not enough. There's just such an opportunity for IT professionals to step into a leadership role in many organizations. Just one last piece of survey data. We asked, does your company have a chief sustainability officer or somebody in that role, so an executive dedicated to planning and executing sustainability strategy? And you see only about a quarter of the nearly 500 companies in our survey base say, yes, we have somebody dedicated to that role. There's a leadership gap here that we think IT is very, very well positioned to fill. There's a void, a vacuum that IT folks, we think, can take on. And by doing so, really change the posture of the IT organization relative to the rest of the company. IT has the organizational position, we think has the skills, has the systems to lead in corporate sustainability and improving the sustainability of corporate operations. And our perspective is we in the IT industry should not settle for less than leadership in this role. So sustainability is rising on the corporate agenda. We think, hopefully it's clear, we think IT organizations have an important role to play as exemplars, as role models, and also as enablers of other forms of business operations. And to do so, it's really about collaboration. That's I think one of the recurring themes that we'll hear today. Collaboration, partnership between IT and the rest of the organization in order to make that happen. Okay, 1 minute and 6 seconds to go, so there'll have to be short questions, but I would be thrilled to take a couple at least if there are any. Yes, sir.
So I think everybody agrees that collaboration for facilities operations and IT is key, but I don't see it happening. Why?
Right, okay, the question is, yes, good idea, collaborate IT facilities operations, but it's not happening. Why not? Let me just cite one example that we run into with companies all the time that prevents that collaboration and potentially a way around it. So the IT guy says to me, so you're asking me to invest in energy efficiency, to invest in virtualization software, to invest in power management for the PC fleet, to refit the data center in some way to be more energy efficient. Guess what? Energy is not on my budget. So you're asking me to invest and hurt my CapEx budget. Meanwhile, it's the facilities guy who carries the energy budget. He looks like a hero, and I look like a chump for doing this, right? And let me tell you, says a number of IT folks that I talk with, let me tell you what a non-starter that idea is in the budget environment, the real-world budget environment that I live in. Those budgets are not connected. Those organizations often are not connected. And there's no way to share the risk, the cost, and the benefit of making those kinds of energy efficiency investments. Hopefully that sounds familiar, at least to some of you. So what we found in a couple of handfuls now of clients that we've worked with on this score is that finance are the guys who have the keys to unlock those budget silos, to help reconcile the capital spending that we're looking for IT to do in energy efficiency, and the operating expense savings that will be realized over on the facilities budget. So short of actually passing through the energy expense to the IT organization, putting it on their budget and then giving them reward basically for saving energy, finance in several instances that we've worked with has been able to just construct an ad hoc means of here's the cost, here's the benefit, here's how we're going to share those across the budgets of these two separate organizations. So finance, we think, is a critical element of that triangle, if you like, to get energy efficiency initiatives and energy efficiency investment unlocked in those companies. Yes, sir.
I like your presentation. It's going to be made available to us.
Yes, it will. If that doesn't happen, shoot me a note. Okay. Okay. Thanks very much. It was great to be here. Really enjoyed it. Bob, thanks again. Thanks again for the invite.
Fantastic, John.
Appreciate it.